folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, the Big 12's greatest rivalries. I'm Mike with EJ. How's it going, pal?
I mean, there's really only a few things I can say right now.
Mm-hmm.
Although we've come to the end of the road,
Mm-hmm.
I still can't let go.
Mm-mm.
It's just unnatural.
No.
And I think the Pac-12 belongs to me,
Yep.
and I know I belong to them. And we are just nearing the goddamn end of the road here.
First
And
tear in my eye.
it has been such a glorious season. Like we keep saying, and it just keeps proving right. And there's still 2 weeks left and 2 incredible weeks of games left. Forget in all college football, just specifically the Pac-12.
Yep.
And
yeah.
yeah,
It's the gift that keeps giving.
I know. I just wish they could go back.
Sometimes you gotta go back to go forward, as McConaughey says, and I hear you. I wish they could go back, and I mean, you're right, man. When a lot of schools, a lot of conferences have, kind of cupcakes this week. In the
Not a lot of conferences. One particular conference that likes to do this.
Well, Georgia is playing Tennessee, but
That is true.
Utah's playing Arizona. Let's see, Notre Dame and Wake. That should be an interesting game. Sam Hartman homecoming. Let's see, North Carolina and Clemson. Interesting. Oregon going to Arizona State.
Yes. I know. It's not a great spot to be in.
No, it's not. OK State and Houston. Ooh. OK State, be careful. Kansas State, Washington, Oregon State. That's gonna be a good one. Prime time too. Oh yeah. That'll do. That ought to do it. That ought to do it.
Yes. What a great weekend and last 2 weeks of the regular season, which means that we are on our penultimate episode of season 3, which is crazy. It really did fly by. It flew by. Flew and flied and flown, and it's all of the tenses.
Oh yeah.
So today we are going to discuss the Sunflower Showdown game. Did you know, before looking at these show notes, what the Sunflower State is? Did you know it beforehand?
No, I did not know that.
And for the listeners, you probably still don't know, because I'm going to just title this Sunflower State. So some of you are going to know and some of you won't, but this is typically a rivalry that no one cares about in any sport, really, to be honest with you. Basketball sometimes, but it's very much like one-sided.
Yeah.
Football never, until this year, which is going to be quite the game. But it is played between the Kansas Jayhawks, the Kansas State Wildcats. Kansas is a Sunflower State.
I did not know that. I did not know that until I saw the show notes.
So, trivia.
Yes.
We haven't done Kansas because we haven't done, and there's only two real big schools in Kansas, and we haven't gotten to them until now. So why don't we do a little bit of Sunflower State trivia?
That tickles me. I love it. Let's do it.
And this is gonna be some weird ones because it is Kansas. So
all right. Okay.
Question number 1. Cocker City, Kansas, is home to the world's largest what? Now that I said that out loud, I should have had a couple other options here, but is it A, the largest sunflower, B, the largest ball of twine, C, the largest lollipop, or D, the largest blanket?
I want to say sunflower because it's the Sunflower State. But that seems too easy.
Or is it?
Ball of twine seems like That's something you see on the side of the road. You know, maybe you're just trying to put that in my head because that's the type of thing you see.
Maybe you see a
Lollipop.
cat hopping around all nimbly bimbly.
Oh, nimbly bimbly. Lollipop or blanket. This is tough. I'll go with the obvious one. I'll go with sunflower.
That is incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I figured.
it is a ball of twine, right, meow.
Oh, okay. It is.
Yes.
All right. There we
So the
go.
largest ball of twine, it measures over 38 feet in circumference and weighs more than 16,000 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, those are the things I should have gone with that because those are the things you see, like in the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Come see the world's largest ball of twine. So, okay.
Yeah, you probably can see it from like the 2 state lines because Kansas is flat. There was actually, it is, I believe they proved it to be literally the topography is flat as an IHOP pancake, but I didn't know how to include that in a question. So just so you know, that's
flat as an IHOP pancake.
yes, the state.
Wow.
Yeah, they've
That's
measured.
flat.
Yeah, that's flat.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, no idea.
Wow.
All right. Question number 2. In Derby County, it is illegal to do what? A, punch a vending machine. B, walk backwards after dark. C, high five a dog. Or D, whistle at a farmer after Labor Day.
Oh man, these are all good. I bet these all are legal in one county or another. Yeah, I love these obscure laws. I'm gonna say walk backwards after dark. That seems like a good one.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
It is illegal to punch a vending machine when it has stolen a person's money. Specifically.
Okay. All right. Well, but these all, I mean, they all seem like they would be.
That one is probably the most fun. I was going through because there actually are there. I almost tricked you because there was like 2 or 3 other ones that I found that were equally as outrageous, but I already did that 2 once where they were like all the right answer.
There's yeah. I mean, those types of obscure kind of laws are great. I love them. Okay.
Question number 3. And this is kind of like we've talked about this a few times now, so it's kind of testing your memory. Has some of these answers been a part of other questions?
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. So which famous fast food chain started in Wichita, Kansas? Is it A, Hardee's, B, Pizza Hut, C, Subway, or D, Quiznos?
Oh, you put 2 sandwich chains in there, which makes me think it's one of them. For some reason, something in me's saying Pizza Hut. I don't know why, but I have just an urge to do Pizza Hut. Quiznos would be my second guess, but let's do Pizza Hut.
That is correct.
Let's go.
Pizza Hut was started in Wichita, Kansas.
I don't know what it is. Just something about it just drew me to it. So I don't know. It must have been, stored away somewhere up there. So
question number 4. Which element on the periodic table was discovered at the University of Kansas in 1905? Was it A, hydrogen, B, potassium, C, lithium, or D, helium?
I feel like hydrogen, potassium, and helium are all pretty, like those would have been around prior to 1905. So I'm going to say lithium.
That is incorrect.
Wow.
It is helium.
Helium.
And it is one of only 2 places, which I didn't think to look at. The other place, Kansas, where you can get it naturally. Helium.
That is not I would have guessed maybe potassium. That's helium. Okay.
And the final question, number 5. William Purvis and Charles Wilson of Goodland, Kansas invented what? Is it A, the helicopter, B, the snowmobile, C, the go-kart, or D, an ambulance?
Oh, geez. You know what? Just because Goodland, Kansas, Goka, go kart. I'm just gonna say go kart.
That is fantastic, but that is incorrect.
Well, give it a shot.
They invented the helicopter back in
Okay.
1909.
Okay.
I know. So many
Well,
things. There's actually, of all the times I've done this, like try to find wacky, facts about a state, there was this website that just had 100 really interesting facts about Kansas. Cause I mean, I thought most of these were pretty interesting. I would have
mm-hmm,
never guessed.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, lot of things going on in Kansas. More
Yeah,
than just
that's
Dorothy.
exciting.
I know. All right, back to the trophy. Sunflower State Showdown. What does this trophy look like?
Well, obviously, I'm thinking a giant sunflower seed or not sunflower seed. That would be something, just a pack of David's sunflower seeds, ranch that you can share with your friends. Uh, let's see. Let's just say a giant golden sunflower. It'd be fun if it was a big staff. Maybe I'm thinking of that because like the cornstalk thing, but it'd be fun if it was like a big bronze golden sunflower, like on the stalk and everything. That'd be a blast. But I'm also thinking like the what was the Magnolia trophy. I think it could be like that, where it's like a wooden base with like a sunflower in it. That could be another possibility. Those are my guesses.
Okay. Well, we will find out in just a little bit. So I want to give you a little bit of the history of the rivalry. So the first matchup between these two schools was in 1902. Kansas won that matchup 16 to nothing. Kansas won 17 out of the first 21 meetings, excuse me. But Kansas State has won the last 14 games in the series.
Wow.
And overall, though, Kansas does lead the series 64 wins to 51 losses and 5 ties.
Pretty close.
Yeah. So, like I had mentioned, this does date back to 1902, and this game has been played every year since 1911, making it the 5th longest active series in NCAA college football. The other 4 longest, so the ones that are longer than that, are Lafayette and Lehigh. That's since 1897.
Oh wow.
One that we have talked about, Minnesota and Wisconsin, for
Mhm.
Paul Bunyan's beautiful axe since
Mhm.
1906. One that we talked about earlier this year, Bedlam, RIP, since
R.I.P.
1910.
Great way to go
And
out.
then one that we will likely talk about next season, which is Wake Forest, North Carolina State since 1910. A lot of long time rivalries.
Yeah, Lafayette Lehigh. That's a good that's the longest running one. That's a good trivia question.
Yes. Yes, it is. And I'm not sure if it has a trophy, but if it does, we'll cover it.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
So like any intrastate rivalry, the two schools disagree on the overall series record, though both agree that Kansas does lead the series. So the difference arises from the 1980 game, which Kansas won 20-18 on the field. However, the Big 8 conference back then ordered Kansas to forfeit the game after a player was ruled ineligible. So as a result, Kansas claims the overall lead is 65 wins to 50 losses to 5 ties. And Kansas State reports the Kansas leads 64 to 51. So Kansas cites the NCAA policy to explain its refusal to reckon the 1980 game as a Kansas State win. The policy states that NCAA schools must acknowledge forfeits imposed by the NCAA or those dictated by the rules of the game, which specifically referencing conference imposed penalties. So basically, yeah, Kansas doesn't think that should count as a loss.
I love these when the schools disagree over the record. It's good stuff. That's a sign of a nice rivalry.
Yes, it's a great start. So a little bit more about the history of this rivalry overall. So it began between these two schools really back to like the creation. So there's just drama around, the founding of both schools. So, and that goes back to the 1860s. So the towns of Manhattan, Kansas, which is home to Kansas State, and Lawrence, Kansas, home to the University of Kansas, both competed to be the site of the state university, required in the Kansas Constitution after they achieved statehood in 1861. Manhattan would have become the home of the university in 1861, but the bill establishing the university in Manhattan was controversially vetoed by the governor Charles L. Robinson, who was of Lawrence. So, an attempt to override the veto in the legislature failed by 2 votes. So, in 1862, another bill to make Manhattan the site of the state university failed by 1 vote. And finally, on the third attempt in 1863, the Kansas legislature designated Manhattan as the home to the state's land grant university. But the legislature was not done. Prodded by that former Governor Robinson, the legislature distinguished this institution from the university in the Constitution. And on February 20th, the legislature named Kansas as the home to the state's university, and provided that Lawrence could raise $15,000 at the time and no less than 40 acres of land. And when Kansas met those conditions, the University of Kansas was established there. So just a little bit of drama. They wanted to be Manhattan wanted to be the first to have the university, but had to wait until they got the land grant to
make it happen.
The state university. And the first recorded meeting between these two institutions in an athletic competition was a little bit more than 30 years after their founding, and that was actually in a baseball game in 1898.
Kansas and baseball, that goes well together.
Yes. So could you, I think I probably kept it in the show notes. Could you guess what the name of this original trophy is?
Well, it is in the show notes, but it does make sense. The Governor's Cup.
Just like every interesting. Thankfully there are some good ones. Looking at you, Michigan State, that do not just have a governor's trophy. But in this case, it did start. So the origin of a trophy for this game started in 1902, and it lasted until 1939. I could not, for the life of me, find a picture of this old thing.
That makes sense,
especially with the name Governor's Cup and a ton of horse racing and other trophies. I really just couldn't nail down if an original picture, if there was one that exists on the internet. But
I think we can use our imagination and figure out what that looks like. Just a cup, normal cup trophy with 2 handles. Yeah, that's
given by the 2 governors, right?
Yeah.
So beginning in the 1940 football season, the winner of the Kansas State contest received the Peace Pact Trophy. Would you like to scroll down to that one and tell me what you see? The best way you can describe that.
The Peace Pact Trophy. After free for all at Lawrence in 39, when Kansas students led the Frosh Grid squad, defended goalposts after Kansas State win. People don't write like that anymore. It is, let's see, it looks like a iron trophy or maybe bronze or something. I don't know. But let's see, it's like a circular base. With like, I don't even know how to really describe this. It's like it's just a plaque on like a circular base, essentially, like a upside down trapezoid with the short end on the bottom, the long end on the top. And it says Peace Pact Trophy. I can't read what is engraved on it, but that's it. Kind of dull, kind of bland.
Yes, so this is a miniature bronze goalpost. So it's the goalpost back in
those
in the
goalposts
day.
Look pretty. They're like angled out. It doesn't look like any goalposts I've seen. I watch a lot of football.
So the trophy was intended to keep the winning team student body from tearing down the loser's goalpost. So in that 39 game, the Kansas students defended their goalposts after Kansas State won and wanted to rip them down. So they thought that having this trophy that looked like goalposts
Uh,
would stop the student body from doing
I mean,
such.
maybe if it looked like actual goalposts, then it would stop the kids from tearing it down. But
I mean,
no,
do we know for a fact that that's not just what goalposts looked like back in 1940?
I'm pretty sure they weren't angled out like that. I'm pretty positive.
Okay. Um, so that lasted all the way up until, let's see, 1969. So why don't you scroll down and tell me what the current trophy looks like, which was
Very,
created.
very generic Governor's Cup. I would imagine the first Governor's Cup looked very similar to this. It's a wooden base with a plaque on it of, I assume, the winner every year, and then a silver cup on top, like a little, just like a trophy cup. You use your imagination. That's probably what it looks like. Pretty standard.
So this version of the Governor's Cup was started in the 1969 game. This game is considered a classic in the series. It was contested by two very good teams. Kansas is coming off an appearance in the Orange Bowl the previous season, led by Pro Football Hall of Fame running back John Riggins, while Kansas State in 1969 was an offensive juggernaut led by quarterback Lynn Dickey and running back Mac Heron. The game was not decided until the final play when two Kansas State defenders jarred the ball loose from a Kansas receiver in the end zone. The loss sent Kansas's season into a tailspin, and the Jayhawks, suffering greatly from the loss of Bobby Douglas and John Zook to the NFL, finished the season 1-9, culminating with a 69-21 loss to the Big Eight conference champions Missouri. So following the game, Kansas State fans tore those goalposts down in Kansas Stadium, an act with a long history in the rivalry. And then Kansas State would repeat this in 1994 after ending an 11-game losing streak. Kansas State fans would get their revenge in 1994 after ending the 11-game losing streak in Lawrence. So the plaque here for the Governor's Cup, there's the final picture, the third one, is at the bottom. It says the Governor's Cup is the third trophy in the history of the series. In 1902, the Governor's Trophy was awarded to the winner, the University of Kansas, who won 16-0. Beginning in 1940, the winner of the game was presented the Peace Pact Trophy, which was the miniature brass goalpost. This trophy was awarded as a way to ensure the winning team's student body did not tear down the losing team's goalpost. Did not work. And one other thing that you didn't mention, though, about the second picture. What's going on here?
Are they like, are they taking stuff out of the cup?
I saw it as putting some sunflower seeds into something.
Oh, that could be spitting sunflower seeds in the cup. Is that what they're doing?
I believe so.
Nice. I like that. Like a little spittoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not an actual spittoon that people used, which is actually this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I honestly, so the third picture that you have where it's like all shined up and everything, sitting in the locker room,
Yeah,
it looks pretty nice, pretty impressive. All shined up and everything like that. So I like that they're spitting into it. That's interesting. I dig that.
So why don't I go over? So we talked about the 1969 game being a classic, not only just because it was the first time this latest and current trophy was used, but also came down to the last play of the game. So I'm going to give you a couple more games that were pretty famous in this series. So in 1980, we'll talk about the forfeit. So on November 1st, 1980, Kansas defeated Kansas State 20-18 in Manhattan. Kansas that led them to take a 93 lead in the first dozen years of the Governor's Cup. And however, it was determined that running back Kerwin Bell for Kansas was a partial qualifier despite his high school transcripts indicating otherwise, and he was ruled academically ineligible at the time of the 1980 season. So in 1982, the Big Eight Conference ordered Kansas to forfeit 3 conference wins and 1 tie from the 1980 season, including its victory in the 1980 Governor's Cup game. As a result, the two schools now dispute the overall record. So it was the running back was academically ineligible. In 1987, this one's dubbed the Toilet Bowl. This was the one tie during the Governor's Cup era that took place in 1987 in Manhattan, and is the most infamous game in the history of the series. Dubbed the Toilet Bowl and the Futility Bowl by national commentators, the game featured a 1-7 Kansas team and an 0-8 Kansas State team. And the contest lived down to expectations and resulted in a 17-17 tie, which was secured when Kansas blocked a field goal as time expired. Following the tie, both teams lost their last 2 games of the season, with Kansas coach Bob Valicenti being fired following the season, while his counterpart Stan Parrish kept his job. He was later fired in 1988 after the Wildcats posted an 0-11 season to extend their winless streak to 28 games. But Parrish's firing led to the hiring of Bill Snyder, who would shift the direction of the series and really their program in favor of the Wildcats. And now that stadium is named after the man himself.
There you go. Sometimes you gotta, get through the shit to,
Yeah,
it's like Andy Dufresne.
Toilet.
Like Andy Dufresne. He crawled through 500 yards of foul-smelling awfulness I can't even imagine. Came on the other side squeaky clean. So
there it is. 1995. This is the only matchup in history of the rivalry where both teams were ranked until this year.
Really? Wow.
Yes. So the University of Kansas came in 7-0 and ranked number 6 in the AP poll, while Kansas State was 5-1 and ranked number 14. Both teams would finish the season ranked in the top 10, but this day belonged to Kansas State. Kansas State started strong and maintained the advantage throughout for a decisive 41-7 victory. And then in 2004, this one's called the Streak Buster, an 11-year winning streak by Kansas State that began in 1993. At the time, the longest of either team in the series was broken on October 9th, 2004, when Kansas won a back-and-forth 31-28 thriller in Lawrence. The head coach of the Jayhawks was Mark Mangino, a former Wildcat assistant under Bill Snyder. And Mangino bested his mentor in Snyder's final visit to Memorial Stadium during Snyder's first term as Kansas State coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, 2007, Kansas wins in Manhattan. In 2007, Kansas won in Manhattan for the first time. This was as of 2022, which still is the case. This was the first time they won in Manhattan since 1989, and also posted its only victory over a ranked Kansas State team. Kansas entered the game 4-0, while Kansas had a 30-1 record, but Kansas was favored in the contest and ranked 24th in the AP poll. Kansas overcame several mistakes through the course of the first half, tying the contest 14-14 at halftime. Following a strong second half performance by Kansas, the visitors from Lawrence posted a 30-24 victory. And Kansas went on to build an 11-0 record on the season before losing to Missouri, and it secured an at-large bid to the 2008 Orange Bowl. So there you go.
I remember that.
Yes. Okay. So now this just really, really, really hammers home the only second time that both teams have been ranked.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, man, both teams are kind of riding a high right now. So it's going to be quite the game, but that's it. Why don't we get to our rankings?
Yeah. Kansas lost last week, or didn't they? Yeah, they did. They lost to Texas Tech last week.
Yes, but still, I think they are still tied. I think
they're both 7-3. They're both 7-3.
And they're both
this would be a big one for them.
2 losses in the conference, I believe. So they were saying like the Big 12 is already panicking because there's 5 teams tied for second right now. So there would be quite the doozy of tiebreaker scenarios. So they're trying to make sure that it's very clear to all
Gotcha.
schools involved what the tiebreaker will be in
All
the
right.
event that these teams multiple teams tie for second.
They've also completed, I think it's called the Circle of Suck or something like that, where every team in the Big 12, you can like do a circle of like every team's beat, like this team beat that team, that team beat that team. You can go the whole way around. It's pretty good. It's pretty impressive. Okay. So, all right, onto the rankings. Looks, yeah, I mean, it feels kind of lazy, you know. It's just a regular old Governors Cup. So I mean, it's like a 2 for me. History of the trophy itself. So I like that it's, you know, gone through multiple iterations. You know, they had original Governors Cup, then they did the field goal post thing, then they had the new one. So they like having a trophy in this rivalry game. They've had it for a long time. I like the spirit of doing it so they don't knock down the goalposts, but it feels like I said, the Governors Cup just feels like a little lazy. So I'll go with a 3, partially due to like the longevity, right? I like that they've had it for a long time. I mean, the rivalry itself, I mean, clearly it's pretty hated amongst the teams being an intrastate rivalry. There's been a lot of animosity since before the schools were even created. So I'm gonna say let's say it's a 4, you know. Competitiveness, I mean, it's very close. It's a very close series. It's like in the grand scheme of things, though, they're not all that competitive. So like competitiveness between them is good, but like competitiveness when compared to other things that are out there isn't as good. So like I'm gonna knock a couple points for that. I'm gonna say it's like a 3. So you know, overall I'm gonna put in the mid tier. I don't think it's not a low, but it's not a high. So
Okay. I agree with you on looks. I think it's a 2. It's not terrible. It's just not very creative. There could have been so many more things that they've done to the current one. I mean, it looks good, about as beautiful as a cup as we've seen, but it is just that, a cup.
mm-hmm.
So the history of it, I also agree with you. I like I'm gonna go with a 4 as well. I do like, or sorry, you said a 3. I'm gonna go
I said
3
3.
and a half. Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
go 3.5. So I do like how long they've had a trophy. So since 1902, I do like it that it's on its 3rd iteration. I like that the second one was very intentional, even though it looked silly. It had
Mm-hmm.
like some cool history behind why they do it. And I do like that the schools felt like they need to have a trophy for this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like that. The rivalry itself, I agree. I'd give it a 4. I think it although the football history of it is obviously not great, I do like that it is intrastate. I do like that just generally these schools don't like each other across multiple sports. I do like the goalpost thing that keeps happening. I love that. Just that history has lived on for over 100 years, which is pretty interesting. So, or almost 100 years, unless it happened before the 1939 game, which is very possible. So I just like that. I think if there were more stakes, and maybe if these two coaches don't leave their job, which isn't looking very good for both these schools, then maybe this will be higher. And I know that kind of bleeds into competitiveness, but yeah, I'll stay with a 4 there. And then competitiveness, yeah, that's tricky. Because
It
I do
is.
like, when we take national stakes. So I think when we talked about Florida State, and how that trophy, like there for an entire decade, that was like loser doesn't go to the national championship, right?
Yeah.
Like the winner went to the national championship in that series like 8 out of 10 years. Like that's the peak of competitiveness, not just between the two schools, but nationally. So while this is very close, it obviously has skewed one way in modern era towards Kansas State. And it hasn't been relevant nationally. So I'll go 3.5 with that. So then, this I would say this firmly sits in the middle tier. For me as well.
Middle America, mid tier. Yeah.
Yes.
Now the things I would do to improve it, like the easy thing is to point to the sunflower thing. Like I said earlier, when we talked about the name Sunflower State Showdown, but I'm off that. I would, given that this whole thing was started because of the goalposts, like why don't we just get a goalpost bar? Like just a piece of a goalpost from a game, and paint it purple and the other side blue and red or whatever, and like I think that could be cool. And then like you can put notches in and stuff like that, so for every time you win you put a notch or paint something on or something like that. So I think that would be cool, like to give homage to the reason why they started the trophy in the first place. So I think that'd be neat. What you got? You're
question.
deep in thought here.
I am.
You're deep.
I am. There's like one thought triggered another one, but then that kind of derailed the first one. So I'm trying to like bring it all together in my head before it comes out of my mouth. So I think I'll just go with my initial gut. I think they should just do a full goalpost, but not like a full size one. So instead of a piece of it, do like a half size, enough where it still takes a few players to move it. Maybe have like a ceremonious stealing or ripping out of the ground of it or something along those lines. I think I like the idea of it being colored. The school colors on both sides, right? They're very different and distinct, which makes it. I always like when teams have very different colors, rivalry teams. So
TCU and Texas Tech, there's like the purple and red there. That I agree. Yeah.
Right. So I that's what I would say. I think I do love that history of the goalpost. And while I can appreciate why schools don't love when students tear those things down, I think this would be a good like medium. Just get like a medium sized goalpost for the team to celebrate maybe with the students. I don't know, but instead of just a piece, just give me the whole thing, but give me like a smaller version.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay, so this game is going to be played this weekend, and it is on Saturday night, 7 p.m. on FS1, and this is Kansas State traveling to Lawrence. So as of earlier yesterday, I guess I could double check. I don't know when standings change. Let me see if they've changed. I don't know when like the rankings change, if they do, which day. But so I give you guys the right numbers here. Also, I wish it wasn't just on Fox Sports 1. But this bad boy, like these schools deserve a little bit of shine here. But okay, it looks like they stayed at least for now. So this is the number 25 overall Kansas State traveling to Lawrence to play the number 16 overall Kansas. So both 7-3. Last time I looked, and it looks like the line has not really moved, but it was Kansas State laying 8.5 on the road. What are your thoughts?
How much are they laying? 8.5?
8.5.
What Kansas State do last week? They beat Baylor.
Not saying much.
Yeah, it's not. Should give me the Jayhawks. I'll take the Jayhawks in this one.
Cover to win outright?
I like cover. Okay. 8.5's a lot of points. That's
Yeah,
a lot of points.
It's like, while I can understand the idea that Kansas State is probably the more well-rounded team playing I just got to believe that Lawrence is going to be a madhouse, right? You have both teams ranked for only the second time in school history. Kansas can score with the best of them. Who knows if Jalen Daniels could be playing? I don't know. If he is, watch out. That line makes me think he's not, or at least as of now, they don't know or don't think he will. But I just gotta believe that even though Kansas isn't great on defense, this is the game they get up for, right? It's their rival. Everything's on the line for both schools. And I think they at least cover. I do. And that was actually, it's one that I'm potentially considering to make for our pick'em just because I just love the idea of I love some home dogs, and this just seems like a good spot for a rivalry game. Like, I don't know, I just feel like I would be Lance Leipold has just been so great that I'd be shocked if they got blown out of this game. But we'll see, potentially. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Kansas covers.
It's a lot of points.
It is. It's a lot of points on the road. Okay, that's going to do it for us this week. Follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our Saturday morning pick'em post. We are nearing the end here, and it is pretty close. I think only about one of us is technically out of it because of the biscuits. There's still hope for really 7 of us, which is pretty interesting and pretty exciting. And also check out our new website, whiskerswhiskies.com, where you can see our college football preview bracket, which we are going to revisit here shortly after championship weekend to see how we did. And also check out our Ultimate Sports Travelogue. And join us next week for the season finale when we talk about the Chancellor's Spurs. For Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers, boys.